Hey, good morning. It's a beautiful day today here in Reno, Nevada. I took a trip to New York City last week and I flew United Airlines. Total of 4 flights because it connected in Denver to New York City. And the service was really inconsistent, and I want to try to explain to you what happened and why I believe it was really inconsistent. A couple of things that are going on. First, you have to realize that now they charge you to check any bag. So 25 bucks, that provides a strong incentive to not check bags, to put everything in a carry-on and carry it onto the plane, which is exactly what I did. I made sure I just had a carry-on, where in the past I might not have worried about it and just checked that bag. The second thing that's going on is, of course, United and all of the airlines want to take off on time so that they can report that they have a high percentage of on-time takeoffs and on-time landings. That's a metric that they track very carefully. So my first flight out from Reno to Denver was probably the best one. In the waiting area, before we ever boarded the plane, the people that were, for United Airlines, that were processing people to get on the plane, made an announcement, and they said, look, this is a full flight. Every seat is sold, and we want to make sure we get everyone's bag on the plane. So only put in the overhead bins your big pieces of luggage. Do not put in the overhead bins something that can fit in the seat in front of you. Your coat, your backpack, your briefcase. Please put that in the seat in front of you so that we can get all of the bags in the overhead bins and take off on time. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. Very full flight, all the bags fit, and we took off on time. My third flight out, on the way home from New York City to Reno, was the worst of the three. They didn't make any such announcement in the boarding area. It was another full flight, and as I was boarding the flight, right before I crossed the threshold to get on the plane, they stopped us and they said, you know, you got to stop, you got to check those carry-on bags right now, which I don't want to do because that cost me time at the end of my trip. So I checked my bag, complied with them, and as I walked down the aisle to my seat at the very back of the plane, I must have passed 6 or 7 wide open bin spaces where my bag could have fit, and another probably 6 or 7 spaces where if people had pulled their purse, their coat, whatever it might have been out, there would have been room not only for my bag but for every single bag behind me. Now that's just a poor system that allowed that to happen. And what really made it bad for me was, on my way out, I stopped and talked to some of the flight attendants, and I said, look, I want to make you aware of a problem that I had and make a suggestion here. And I described that, and what really pissed me off was that they were indifferent. They were smug and they didn't want to hear what I had to say. They didn't make eye contact, and all they had to say to me was, well, you really just don't understand. Well, I understand very clearly that what we had was a system that did not have to be the way that it was. Number one, I know walking down there that you could have fixed it if people had just communicated better. And number two, I had boarded previously a flight from Reno to Denver where they did it differently and it worked out differently. So what I'm seeing here is an underlying system at United Airlines where there's a lot of idiosyncrasies between the flight crew and the crew that's there in the airport, and it results in a different experience every time for the passenger, and that's not good. You contrast that with Southwest Airlines that has a strong system, and I'm telling you, with Southwest, it's a very consistent experience almost every time you fly. So another example of inconsistent service on the part of United Airlines, and the underlying basis for that is the United Airlines system itself, and not that single flight crew and not that single ground crew. But you know, they really do need to train their folks to listen better, and when customers have something to say, to at least respond and say, I'm sorry, I hear what you're saying, and I'll see what I can do about it. That makes a huge difference. All right, I hope it's as beautiful where you are today as it is here in Reno, Nevada. Have a great day.